Hey guys, it's Lisa Childs here from TriedTestedAndTrue.com, and today I'm sharing with you 21 of the best money-saving cooking and kitchen hacks. Let's get right into it with tip number 1, which is rotisserie chickens. I love buying rotisserie chickens for a money-saving hack because they're usually only about $5 and they're only $4.99 at Costco if you go there. But rotisserie chickens are such a great way to get a lot of protein up front. You can use it for different meals. They're great for leftovers and they're always super cheap. Tip number 2 is to use less meat. Protein is usually the most expensive part of a meal, and so if you use less of it and then use something else as a filler such as potatoes, rice, corn, something else like beans to supplement and fill up your bellies with something other than meat, you'll definitely save a lot more money. Tip number 3 is to use lots of eggs. Eggs are a super inexpensive protein that are healthy, filling, and delicious. You can use hard-boiled eggs as the protein in a salad or cut up into a sandwich. You can also use scrambled eggs in rice or anything like that to add a little bit of extra protein to your cooking. I love adding scrambled eggs into something really cheap like rice or ramen because it adds a lot of bulk, it adds a lot of flavor, and most importantly, a really cheap protein. Number 4 is to buy less expensive cuts of meat like stew meat. Stew meat is kind of those little chunks of steak and beef that the butcher doesn't really know what to do with, and so they're usually sold at a really good price. The only thing with stew meat is that it takes a long time to cook down and to get tender, but that's where things like the crock pot or the Instant Pot really help because they make those inexpensive pieces of meat. Number 5, budget to be able to pick up extra things that are on sale every time you go shopping. So whenever I go shopping, I always pick up 1 or 2 extra things that I'm not going to use that week and I stash them in my freezer, but I always want a budget to be able to buy extra things that are on sale so then I don't have to go out and buy things in an emergency. I can always have something in my freezer that is ready to go. Number 6 is to buy in bulk when it makes sense. It might be tempting to buy everything at Costco because it might seem like a good deal, but make sure that you're checking the prices per pound on hamburger, on chicken, protein, any sort of produce. Just make sure that you're getting the best deal per ounce or per pound. Number 7 is to invest in a food saver. I recently just bought a food saver and it is my favorite thing ever because when I buy these extra pieces of meat or produce, whatever that's on sale at the grocery store, I want to preserve it. It's not a saving unless I can reuse that meat when it comes time to it. If it's already spoiled in the fridge or the freezer, there's no use, that's just throwing away money. So invest in a food saver and then you can properly store your meats, cheeses, and produce until it's ready to use. Number 8 is to make 2 and save 1 for later. Whenever I make enchiladas, soup, pot pie, or big batches of meat, I always double the recipe and then I eat 1 for now and then I save 1 for later. Using an Instant Pot or a crock pot, this is super easy because then I can just easily prepare 2 batches of something and then I have a really quick and convenient meal that's waiting for me so then I don't have to run out and go get something or go out. This is a really good money-saving hack. Number 9 is to freeze your cheese. Cheese is a pretty expensive ingredient that goes moldy if you don't take care of it or if you don't preserve it in some way. I love freezing my cheese, and a lot of people don't realize they can do this, but you can freeze almost any cheese and it's just as good after you thaw it. You can freeze block cheese, shredded cheese, cheese slices, mozzarella cheese, any type of cheese that you have in your fridge, pretty much you can freeze. The only recommendation I have is if you are freezing block cheese to cut it up into more manageable pieces because once you thaw the cheese, you should not be refreezing it. All you have to do to use your frozen cheese is to defrost it in the fridge overnight, or you can use it frozen as well. Number 10 is to use leftover ingredients to make single portion meals. This is a little shameless plug for my own cookbook, which is 175 single portion Instant Pot recipes that is coming out super soon. You are going to love it. I love this book because you can use ingredients that you may have just thrown away or wasted and make delicious single portion meals that you can either give away, freeze, eat for lunch the next day, or to enjoy right then and there. So I love this tip to use all sorts of little scraps to make single portion meals. Number 11 is to learn how to can or preserve fresh food. Canning or preserving food is one of the best skills that one can have to save money. If you have an overabundance in the garden, or if you see a really good deal on a lot of berries or fruits, and you know how to preserve and can those foods to last a long time, then you can save money by not wasting, and you always have food in your pantry. My favorite thing to can or preserve is to do a really easy freezer jam. So whenever I see raspberries or blueberries or strawberries on major sale, I quickly go home and make freezer jam because it's so easy, and then I always have fresh, delicious jam in my freezer. I don't have to go out and buy anything new. I just have it fresh in my freezer. Number 12 is to buy frozen fruits and vegetables. Things like berries, corn, green beans, broccoli, stir-fry mix, peas, pineapple, mango, etc. are actually a lot less expensive a lot of the time frozen versus fresh. The great thing about frozen produce versus canned produce is that it's usually frozen right when it's picked, right when it's the freshest, and so buying frozen fruits and vegetables is actually a really good budget-saving tip because they're super fresh and usually super inexpensive. Number 13 is to do my everlasting berry hack to keep your berries from molding up to 21 days. Now, I have a video all about how to do this. I will link it up here. But if you use my everlasting berry hack, you can preserve your berries fresh in the fridge and keep them from molding up to 3 weeks. This is an awesome money-saving tip because berries are usually expensive no matter what time of year you get them, and they always go moldy really quickly. So if you can preserve them, make them last longer, you're definitely saving money. Number 14 is before you go grocery shopping or before you make your grocery list for the week, take an inventory of what you have already in your fridge and your freezer. Write down the things that you have that are going to go bad first, such as produce and meat, and try and plan your meals around what you already have. Whenever I do this, I always save money because I know what I have and I need to use it first, and I avoid throwing things away, and I avoid buying things that I don't actually need. Number 15 is just along the same lines as number 14, but do an inventory of your pantry and your food storage before you go grocery shopping. Find ingredients that you have but you haven't used in a while, especially if you buy in bulk, and then plan a meal around that where you will only have to supplement with a couple new ingredients. Number 16 is to plan to cook new recipes only 2 or 3 times a week. Instead of planning a new meal every single day, plan only a couple and then plan on eating the leftovers the next day. That way you are saving time and money by only having to cook a couple meals, and you know you're going to use all the ingredients and eat all of that food. Number 17 is a tip for when you actually get to the grocery store. When you get to the grocery store, walk around the perimeter of the store and avoid going into the aisles. When you shop around the perimeter of the store, you'll find that you only hit the things that you absolutely actually really need. You'll hit the bakery, meat, produce, milk, eggs, all those ingredients that are really essential to cooking, and everything on the inside of the store in the aisles, stuff that you really don't absolutely need. So start out by shopping around the perimeter of the store to just get those essentials. Number 18 is probably the best money-saving hack of them all. Do not go to the grocery store when you are hungry. When you are hungry and you go to the grocery store, literally everything sounds delicious and everything sounds good. You are way more likely to buy things you don't actually need because you're starving and everything sounds good. Number 19 is to make your grocery list around things that are on sale. If you don't receive an ad in the mail like I do, you can always go onto the grocery store's website and see what's on sale, see what's fresh, and then make your list around what's on sale. Number 20 is to shop for ingredients that you only need a little of in the bulk section. The bulk section in my grocery store, specifically, I really like to go to Winco because they have a huge bulk section. Everything in that bulk section is usually a lot less expensive per ounce, and it's super easy to just get the specific amount of the ingredient you need. That way you don't have to buy a whole jar or a whole container of something you're only going to use once for a specific recipe, and it's a really good way to save money. My favorite things to buy in the bulk section are things like oatmeal, breadcrumbs, chocolate chips, and certain spices and herbs. Number 21, and this is our very last tip, is to try and make things homemade as much as you can versus buying the convenience item. Things like salad dressing, gravy, pancake mix, all of those things can usually always be made at home super easy with the ingredients you already have on hand. That way you can avoid buying things you don't need and you can make things in the quantity that you want without wasting. Making things from scratch is usually a lot less expensive because you already have the ingredients, and I think it almost always tastes better. Thank you so much for joining me on these 21 money-saving cooking and kitchen hacks. I hope that you'll be able to use some of them and to save money because, I mean, who couldn't use a little extra money, right? Next, make sure you watch my 4 super easy, super cheap chicken and rice recipes. I'm gonna link that right here, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.